has kind of become my MO of showing that actually everything is not always perfect. Because there's nothing worse than seeing an amazing Swiss roll. I really enjoy the reaction of people when you serve them something homemade.
Welcome to the Good Food Podcast with me, Samuel Goldsmith. Today on the Good Food Podcast, we are joined by baker and patisserie expert Matt Adlard. Known for his precise desserts and calm confidence-building approach, Matt has built a huge following by making professional level baking feel achievable at home. Now with a new book on the way, he's taking things even further, sharing the techniques, recipes and lessons he wishes every home baker knew. Matt joins me to share baking tips and talk precision, creativity and what really makes a bake worth the effort. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Matt, today.
It's a pleasure.
I'd love to start by asking, what did you have for dinner last night?
What did I have for dinner? We were celebrating my niece's birthday, so we had fried chicken burgers from my sister's restaurant.
Your sister's got a restaurant?
Yes, so she has it's like a South Korean style fried chicken restaurant.
Amazing.
So they do a lot of burgers inspired by Asian cuisine. So we did like a katsu burger and they do loaded fries and wings. And so it was a very gluttonous meal followed by Ben & Jerry's ice cream and whipped cream.
What, where is this?
It's in Norwich. So I live in Norwich at the moment.
Yeah, nice.
And so she has this little restaurant. She's had a few different businesses, but with what is going on in hospitality, had to close a few of them. But a couple of businesses that she runs in Norwich, which are great. All sort of Mexican is one, South Korean's another.
Yeah.
Grew up in Norwich.
Nice.
But having said that, I am actually moving in a few days. So I will no longer be in Norwich. I'm moving to Yorkshire.
Lovely part of the world.
Really nice.
Really. We were there for like just under 2 years and you've got like Robin Hood's Bay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Staithes is lovely. You're actually here to talk about your new book.
I am.
Which is The Science of Baking. So tell us about how it all started and where the idea came from and just tell us about it.
Yes, it's funny seeing it here. I only have one copy, so it's great to see another one. So I wrote my first book in 2023, which was Bake It Better, and that was all about kind of leveling up French patisserie, so something quite simple and then a very elevated dessert using the same concept. And it was a very beautiful book, maybe slightly intimidating for people, but very high quality and pretty. And then kind of following that book, I kind of do my own thing on social media. I don't follow trends or gimmicks. And so what I started to really dive into was a lot of comparisons of particular topics. So it might be choux pastry or sweet pastry or bread, and really diving into the different techniques or ratios. And I just found that really interesting. My audience found it really interesting. And I had a really good connection with DK, who I'd written my first book with. Yeah. And so I just got a DM on Instagram from the editor and she was like, hey, loved working with you on the other one. We've got this new project coming up. Do you fancy being the author of The Science of Baking? So they kind of had it all ready to go. Not ready to go for me. I did have to do a lot of writing, but
I just put my name on it.
Yeah, they have a series of books, Science of Nutrition, Science of Cooking, Science of Spice. And so I was kind of the next one that slotted in. So they had a format they wanted to follow, but they wanted to blend that sort of lifestyle-y recipe focus that we had in Bake It Better with the science.
Cool.
And so that's how it came about, literally like a DM from my editor on Instagram.
And so what spiked your interest in baking? Because it is when you say baking, like you're saying off air, like bread is not necessarily where your interests lie, but like with this is more patisserie. So
I would say I'm probably now all interested in all areas of bread. We're sort of saying back then when we went to that class together, I didn't probably know that much. But all areas of pastry I'm particularly interested in. So this book covers cooking. Again, I have to remember. I almost deleted it from my memory of the amount of work that went into it. I'm now like, I just can't think about it. Cakes, breads, pastry. So we look at like laminated doughs. We look at things like soufflés, tarts, breads. I said breads already. But kind of it covers all facets of
it's like the whole
pastry.
Genre.
Yeah, essentially. And so it's quite nice to dive into the science of each area. So answering those questions that I think I always had but was too scared to ask. So you see a recipe for a cheesecake and they bake it in a bain-marie, and it's like, well, why do I bake it in a bain-marie?
Yeah.
You just follow the recipe because they say that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But actually, what is it? Well, it's about, controlling even heat distribution so the texture is really consistent. And so it was finding out the why behind the questions I always had. And so that gave me a lot of confidence going into recipes, knowing, okay, I should be using a bain-marie, or I have to serve my souffle immediately because of X, Y, Z.
And it's very instructional, the book. Like, that's what I think is really great about it. Like, I think if you are, because I guess it says the science of, so some people might be like, that's going to be really like too in depth. But actually, I think you've got to think about the bit where you have the icing and you see the different like shapes and things. And I think that, is it the icing actually, or is it the
buttercream?
Buttercream, yeah. And I think that's quite useful, I think, for people. Like, it is the science, but also you can follow along visually as well.
Yeah, I think that was the idea, to blend that sort of, a beautiful recipe book with the recipes that you could achieve. But sort of the upfront of it is giving you the answers to the test before you take the test.
Yeah.
And so the science hub could maybe be a slightly intimidating title. But I think once you open it, you realize, okay, this is sort of debunking a lot of myths or questions that I have, and then I feel like I can go into that recipe. And because it has step-by-step recipe photography as well for almost all the recipes, not quite all, but a lot of them, you can actually see what's going on, because there's nothing worse than seeing an amazing Swiss roll, but actually, how do I roll it? How much cream do I need to lay on? How do I pour the glaze? You don't really see that in a beauty shot. So that was another element we were adding, because when it got to the shoot, the food science was like, oh, we need to do this photo. And I was like, why aren't we just taking the beauty shots? They're like, no, we're taking step-by-step photos of every recipe. I was like, what? Yeah. So it went from the shoot that I thought was going to be, just prepare the beauties as you do. But no, it was in front of camera for every step of whipping cream and eggs and it was just crazy. The number of photos we had was intense. But
I think what I really love about it as well is it's quite kind of like, it's not old school and then it looks modern, but it is that kind of like old school style cookery book where it really is taking you through every single step. And I think because of like people trying to reduce costs and things, that kind of went away, and there'd be like, if there were 100 recipes, there'd be 20 or 50 photos. But it's nice that it is really heavily illustrated, and
really is, and we had sort of two photo shoots, one which I wasn't even there for. So we had kind of our beauty recipe photo shoot, and then they did a real macro photo shoot as well, where they were just really diving into ingredients. And so that there's a real blend of different formats and the illustrations that we had for the protein bonding of egg whites, which sounds again quite intimidating, but when you see it drawn out in a beautiful little illustration, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and that sort of clarifies it for me. So there's so much that goes into it. There was also, we had Josh from the Bake Off, who's a food scientist, and he's
I think I remember him,
expert, and he had access to this like 30,000 times zoom microscope camera, and so he was taking pictures of ingredients under this camera. So yeast. If you look at fresh yeast in the book at like 30,000 times zoom, it is the most amazing image. It's like Mount Everest. It's just this incredible image. So you, as well as, step-by-step beautiful photos, there's this microscopic imagery of ingredients that you just otherwise wouldn't see. And it's, doesn't change how you make the recipe, but just a nice to know, nice to have, which I think rounds it out really nicely.
And actually, I think it's adding something for people maybe that actually do already know how to bake, but they want to take it a bit further. So you can kind of either spectrum. You can
whether you're just starting out and you just want to, challenge the shortbread and understand a little bit behind it, or, you are really proficient, you're a home baker, maybe you're a professional chef, and you just want to take something to another level, or just deepen your own knowledge and sit in bed and just flick through the information. We're hoping it ticks all those boxes. Yeah, all those boxes.
And so for you, how much research did you have to do?
Oh my gosh, a lot. This was a lot more of a kind of computer heavy book compared to the first. So, the first one was just go away, write your book, test your recipes, and you do the photo shoot. This was a lot of, I was doing the research up front before I went into the recipes. So, I had to learn some of it myself before, because I'm self-taught. I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't train in a restaurant. So I have no experience necessarily about some of these topics. So it was, learning a lot myself and researching scientific journals and, really diving into it so that I could gather all this information and formulate it into something that made sense and was digestible.
But your baking has always been pretty high end, right?
Yeah, well, it's high end now.
Maybe not when you were first born,
when I started, it was very low end, very low end.
I think about your social media, I guess. It's always been very, like, you clearly have skill. Just because you haven't done culinary school, it doesn't mean you can't, you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and that's my kind of, I think my MO is you can make something that's as good as the local bakery or as good as culinary school from your own home. You don't need to be a professional. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve through the books, through the social media and the website, is teaching people just really fundamental techniques or really good go-to recipes where they say, wow, that was way better than what I could have bought at the supermarket, or my friends love this chocolate cake recipe now. And so I think you can achieve that. I did it. It took me a long, long time because I was just failing. But I'm hoping all those mistakes I made, I put into my recipes so I can tell people what to avoid and what to do correctly, basically.
What have you found most intimidating about baking, like going through all the sort of all the different areas?
I still would say chocolate is quite an intimidating one. Even though, I can temper chocolate and I can work with it, I also, because it's so messy in the back of my mind, it really just intimidates me of the cleanup afterwards and tempering cocoa butter and spraying bonbons and getting the stabilization of a ganache right. That stuff I'm not so
takes you more concentration
expert in. That's something where I would lean on, through social media. I meet some of the most talented chocolatiers or bakers in the world, and so I can just send them a message and say, hey, look, I need to make a passion fruit ganache for this bonbon. How do I stabilize it? And they'll give you all the information. So I feel like I have a really good access to people that will answer my questions if I have something. But very scared of kind of that finer chocolate work in terms of the bonbon world. And then I would say croissants was a scary one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That takes time.
A lot
I've
of
never
time.
made them, actually.
Also equipment, I ended up buying a dough sheeter for my house. So that was like £5,000 investment. I moved into this new house and I was like, I'm buying a dough sheeter. My wife was like, what are you doing with a dough sheeter? I mean, not even sure she knew what it was, but I invested in a dough sheeter and it opened up my world because it's a game changer. So I laminated croissants perfectly. But they are really hard. Getting the right flour, the right butter, the right temperature. And it's in my garage, so sometimes it's like -2 in there, or sometimes it's like 15 degrees, and so you're balancing.
And does that affect obviously it affects the atmosphere? Because I find when I used to teach, you'd have kids that would be making meringues, say, and sometimes it'd be fine. And then some days you'd watch them do it and they didn't do anything wrong, but just wouldn't bake right, or it wouldn't hold, and I feel like it's the humidity or the atmosphere. So does that change how you bake?
It is a huge thing. I mean, where we are right now, we're sort of like relatively close to sea level. Things sort of behave as you would expect in a recipe. But I get messages from people all the time who say, I'm in Denver. How do I adjust to the altitude? I'm like, I've never baked in Denver, so I've got no idea. But it's a real issue. But having had no experience in altitude baking, I just say, I'm really sorry, but you have to figure it out yourself.
There must be somebody on Instagram that's like at Altitude Baker or something. Baking, if there's not, maybe I'll start a niche.
There you go. You're going to have to move to Denver.
Yeah, that's true.
But I've had a few where I was like Singapore or Mexico, and these kind of conditions where I was in Mexico and it was 110 degrees and I was trying to make macarons and it was a disaster. It was a disaster because it's so humid and you couldn't form a skin on the macaron shells, so they weren't baking right in the oven. I mean, that's when you're trying to adapt to local conditions and you've just got no experience.
Just certain things you can't do.
And we just live in such a placid environment that it makes it quite easy.
Do you, I'm just thinking, for me, on Good Food, we have, on the website and things, you can leave comments. And I always find it's baking that is the most frustrating because you've tested the recipe 3, 4, 5 times. Other people have tried cooking it. Some people leave comments saying, yeah, it's amazing. And then you'll just get a few people that just leave comments saying it didn't work. And I feel like with baking, there is that element of you can do everything right, but sometimes it's just...
I find people make a mistake, they'll change ingredients and not tell you. But I did use oat milk instead of whole milk. I'm like, well, I didn't test that with oat milk. So I let people, you can change whatever ingredient you want, but I didn't test that. So a lot of the time I find people have changed an ingredient and that caused an issue. But then, a type of ingredient, so Philadelphia cream cheese versus, a Lidl own brand cream cheese, they're manufactured very differently and has a massive difference on the outcome of your cheesecake. So, even where you shop is to the average consumer, even to me, Philadelphia versus Lidl.
Yeah, you think it's just the same, but
but it's not, and it has a huge impact. So it's one of those things where you have to say, I'm really sorry, it didn't work.
Yeah,
try again.
And we always say to people to have an oven temperature, oven thermometer, because ovens vary so much, and even sides, middle.
the toast test, always a good one.
Oh, okay, what's that?
So if you want to see, if you go into, you've got a new apartment or a new house and you want to see the hot spots in your oven, just put like a tray with lots of white bread on it, evenly packed together, put it in the middle of your oven, and then just bake it at like a normal temperature, like 175, 345 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And then you see where the toast is browning.
Interesting.
And so if it's darkening in like the top left corner of your oven quicker than it is middle right, you know that's your hot spot. So if you're making a souffle or macarons, you know that area is danger zone. So just bang some bread in your oven and find out where it darkens.
My dad desperately needs a new oven, and I don't know why he's not doing it, because his is like basically it's like on the wonk.
Oh.
And every time my little brother's quite into baking, and like he'll bake a cake and it's literally like a set like 3 centimeters on one side and 6 centimeters on the other, and I'm like, why will you not buy a new oven? This thing is falling apart.
The thing I have trouble with sometimes is you get cheap sheet trays and you put them in the oven and they warp immediately from the heat.
Yeah.
You've got these macarons or a souffle and it just kicks them up like 1 inch, and they, suddenly everything's leaking to the side and you're like, oh, why did I use the cheap tray? Why didn't I just put it on a really good quality tray? But yeah, Dad, new oven.
He needs a new oven.
Come on.
What is it you love about baking so much?
What do I love about baking? Wow. I really enjoy the reaction of people when you serve them something homemade and they say, wow, that's the best chocolate cookie I've ever had, or the best tart. I love that reaction.
Yeah. So the giving of it.
Yeah, the giving. I really enjoy the precision and the art behind it, the design. You can make a chocolate tart, a lemon tart, but how do you finish it? What do you do to just make it really stand out? Okay. I love that detail and finesse.
And what did you go to university and study? Yeah. So what did you study?
I studied international business.
Oh, okay. Because you were talking about the fine sort of fine elements. I was like, oh, maybe you did like chemistry or like
no. My dad, who was a Michelin-star chef, studied chemistry.
Oh, wow.
But I was really into like marketing and business. And
so your dad was a Michelin-star chef?
Yeah, he was.
Wow. And so what did he... Was there like an area of chefing?
He was very into like French cuisine, high-end, but he wasn't really a baker.
Oh, interesting.
So a few, he did a stint at the Connaught, I think, where he learned pastry back in the day. But he was very much into like French and English fine dining.
Okay.
Duck à l'orange and, a bird within a bird within a bird, very traditional cooking. But if I said, Dad, I want a raspberry jam donut, he wouldn't know what to do. He wouldn't know where to go. He'd be on BBC Good Food picking up, he'd go to the internet and find a recipe.
Yeah.
So I didn't really learn anything too much from him, really.
That's
puff
interesting.
Pastry. He taught me some puff pastry.
It's interesting that you have a Michelin star chef at home and he didn't really teach you how to cook.
Yeah, but I didn't take any interest. That was the thing.
Okay.
I wasn't into cooking when we were growing up, and he was so busy working at the restaurant that it wasn't like Sunday morning, let's make madeleines together. It was like, I'm going to the butcher's because I need to get 10 pork loins. It just wasn't, there was no time for it. And
the control, I think they like to be the ones in control of the kitchen.
It was carnage. It was just always about the restaurant. It was before we did anything, I need to print the menus, or I need to do this, and because it's your own. He was running his own business.
So it was his own restaurant.
Yeah.
What was it called?
It's called Adlard's.
Oh, okay. So it was named after family name.
Yeah, so it was quite iconic. Still in Norfolk now, if you say your name, people will be like, "Oh my gosh, is that your dad's restaurant?" So there's a little bit of a legacy. For the older generation in Norfolk that went to his restaurant.
Is that sort of does it feel like pressure? Is there a lot of pressure there to sort of, when you're cooking, to live up to that standard?
I don't think so, because I know I'm a better baker than he is, so I don't feel too intimidated, really. And it was so long ago.
Yeah.
I think the thing I feel is a bit of regret that our paths didn't cross earlier. My dad's a lot older, so when I was getting into cooking or baking, he was sort of finishing his career.
Sure.
But I think if I was at where I'm at now and he was in his heyday, we could have been a diner. He's very personable. He's very fun, and so I think together we could have been the ants and deck of the cookery world. But we never kind of crossed paths. So I kind of am sad that never got to happen.
Yeah. But then also it could have destroyed your relationship. These things don't always work out.
That's true. It could have.
Maybe it's for the best. Yeah. In your new book, I guess also in your last book as well, is there any bakes that have really tested you? I mean, you mentioned croissants, but is there anything that you just tried to keep getting right and then it just took forever?
Well, I will talk about the croissants in this because again, I've got a lot of experience making croissants with a dough sheeter, but also by hand.
Okay, yeah.
But when we were shooting this book, it was in the middle of June, and it was like 30 degrees. And so the first day, it's the first shot, we've got to do step by step making croissants. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And you're meeting this, although I know the team, it's, the first day I already knew them all, I'd worked them before, but you want to impress, show everyone you're really talented. And so I go to put my croissant dough down, and it's immediately like melting on the table because it's so hot. And I'm just looking at the food stylist like, this isn't going to work. And then she's like, just carry on. And so even the pictures now, I look at them, I'm like, I know how hot it was, and it wasn't quite as perfect as it needed to be. And I would have given anything just to do that on a cold day, because you just couldn't control the environment. You're under lights and the ovens are going, and it was the worst environment possible to make croissants. It's
like the tent, the bake-off tent.
Literally.
That is in the middle of summer, I think they shoot. Yeah. And you're like in a marquee. It's the worst possible
Don't talk
place.
To me about it. I could go on about the bake-off and the conditions they put them under.
It's so great. It's the worst time of year to do it.
I want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go off a tangent here, but I want to see them succeed. They've worked so hard to get into it. It's like, right, it's 30 degrees, temper some chocolate. It's like, just pour.
They do it on purpose.
Yeah.
The drama. You want the drama.
Exactly. And then the other one in the book, chiffon cake.
Okay.
Really, really struggled with chiffon cake.
Is that the one where it's not the one where you pour...
You kind of invert it once it's baked. It's baked in like an angel food tin. It has the little legs on it.
Yeah.
So I actually was struggling so much, and I was really documenting it on Instagram. And then Helen Go.
Oh yeah, lovely Helen.
Helen Go, yeah. She messaged me and was like, look, Matt, this is what you got to do. Like, look at these ratios, look at this person. And after her advice, one failed, but then I figured it out.
Yeah.
So she's
great.
A pioneer in the chiffon cake in helping me fix it. So I made it for the book, and I'm not sure I'll ever make it again because it was so stressful. It's such a simple recipe, but it's all about your egg whites and whipping them and inverting the tin.
To be fair, that is catering. I didn't go to catering college itself, but I did a food degree, and we had to do practical. Every week we did like a whole day of practical. And you would do like, okay, this week's seafood. So you're doing lobster, you're doing gutting fish. And you're like, half the stuff, you might make a chiffon cake, but you'd never do it again.
No.
So it's like, I think it's the same. You kind of, you get to know what you like doing.
Yes.
I think. And then it's fun to try stuff.
Yes. My goal with everything I make is to get the perfect recipe, or I hope is the perfect recipe. And then that's it. I never have to research it again. So when I go back to it, I just use that.
That's good.
So it's the same pastry, the same chiffon cake, the same cream. And I call them kind of my recipe locker. So when I need to develop a new recipe, I just pick like a cream from here, a tart shell from here, a filling from there, and I just put them together.
Nice.
And that's how I make new recipes.
Yeah.
Because once you've got the fundamentals, work and taste really well, taste really good, just mix and match them.
You can go, I'm going to put that frosting with that. Yeah.
And I'll put a bit of Earl Grey tea in it, and that'll make it different.
You can change the flavours.
Literally. That's how I bake.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next section, which is favourite dish. Mm-hmm. So do you have, what would your favourite dish of all time be?
Can it be sweet?
It can be sweet, savoury, yeah.
I do give the same answer. People probably get really bored of me saying this, but lemon tart is my favourite dessert. So it was my dad's recipe originally. Okay. So I said he didn't bake, but he was quite famous for his lemon tart. Yeah. Which he probably took from the Connaught, but I've now inherited it. And so I grew up on this lemon tart, and it was very famous. And so it has a lot of memories of my childhood and my dad as a chef. And so that was probably one of the recipes that I got quite famous for because of how much people loved it and how kind of perfect it was. So lemon tart is the answer.
What are your tips for the lemon tart?
The first tip I would say is you really got to bake your pastry very golden. Yeah. Because once you add the lemon filling, because it's like a custard, you're really dropping the oven temperature. So there's no more baking of the pastry. Okay. It's done. By the time you add the filling in, it's done. So you almost want to take it a little bit darker than you think.
Because normally you go for that sort of like rich tea'd colour, don't you?
Yeah, I go a little darker. Because sometimes it can, because you've egg washed it, it can look
that's true actually.
On the top, but actually underneath it's still a little bit pale. So I go quite dark. Okay. And then... it's a low oven temperature just until it has a nice jiggle. And you need to serve it really the same day. Yeah. Because it's a custard, what can happen is once it's set, it can crack, and that's just because it will weaken at some point, and the tension will kind of build on the top. A little film forms on the top, and it breaks.
Can you get seepage as well if you leave it too long, or is it okay because you've got corn? Well, you might not have
no corn flour on this one. No, it can. I think if you sliced it and you left it in the fridge, it would start to kind of eventually. So the sugars would start to kind of pull out the moisture. So I always make it on the same day. But you can also put a little gel on top. So that film I said, where the sort of custard has sort of set and formed a skin. If you put like a little passion fruit gel or a lemon gel, you could mix a little bit of agar, so like 1% agar with passion fruit juice or lemon juice or whatever. And you just put a little. Just if you pour it on top, that will create like a moisture barrier, which will stop the lemon tart from cracking.
And that takes the moisture on instead.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a great tip from Tarts and On. They're a really famous tart bakery in Australia.
Oh, I've not heard of that. Great.
And they are like the goats of tarts.
So you could also just do another lemon, like I suppose, so that if you wanted it all one flavour.
You could do, or you'll put meringue on top, or anything will kind of stop it from, but it's just visual. It's not going to affect the texture. Sure. It's just visual, but you know, as someone who is a perfectionist.
If you want to make stuff the day before, I guess it helps.
People always want to make it. People always want to make it the day before. I'm like, make it on the day. Just make it on the day. Why can't you make it on the day? Get up early. I went on a TV show and I was making it at 3 a.m. so that I could bring it fresh because I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going on this TV show and not having it fresh for the guests. Yeah.
There's a recipe book. I think it's called Indulge. And that is I make the lemon tart from there. And with that one, you juice like all the lemons, and then you boil the lemon juice down so that it's super intense. And that is like, you're like, you know, when you eat it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I love it. But I think if you're not into like super sharp, it would blow your brains.
Okay, well,
but that is
Indulge. It was nice knowing you, but science of baking lemon tart. Sorry, Indulge. Bless you.
It might not even be called that actually. I can't remember. Okay, it's a very old book. All right. I'm going to move on to culinary confessions. Mm-hmm. What is the one dish you make better than anyone else? I feel like you might have just answered it.
I did just lemon tart. I make the best lemon tart. I mean, I've seen 2 Michelin star chefs make lemon tart, even a few weeks ago on Instagram, and I was like, that is awful. It's
not as good.
Like serving it at the restaurant, I'm like, that's a disaster.
I am gonna make yours.
Okay, it's like you got to dedicate some time to it, but it's
the same with the other one I've made before. Yes. So I think I'm willing.
Okay,
I'm willing.
I trust you in the job that you do. I trust you to get it right.
What is your biggest cooking disaster?
Wow, I make a lot of family birthday cakes, so I'm the designated baker,
as you would expect.
Yeah, and it's always you get a free cake, but it's my call on what it's going to be.
Okay.
And it was my mum's 60th birthday.
Nice.
And I don't, I like making cakes, but I don't have a ton of experience in like stacking, making big cakes, and so I wasn't really aware of dowels.
Yeah.
So my mum wanted an orange and pink birthday cake for her 60th party. There were lots of guests coming.
So she can be a bit specific. People can say, I want this colour.
Yeah, but no flavour or anything. Okay. She got a little bit of a request because it was her birthday. But otherwise, it's Matt's call.
Okay.
There's no,
Which is fair enough.
Yeah. And you don't pay for it. I use premium ingredients. There's not a penny.
Okay, that's the gift.
Yeah. And so it was just 3-tiered cake. It was like an ombre of pink to orange with chocolate drips on each layer. I mean, I look back, it was a bit shabby, but it was 3-tier, it was big.
And it was free.
And it was free, and it was the middle of summer, and so I assembled it at the event. And again, no dowels.
Oh no.
So I went home, put my suit on, came back probably 2 or 3 hours later, and it was in the corner of the room because I'd taken a picture for the gram.
Oh.
So I was really proud of it. And I just wasn't in the corner of the room, and I was like, where's this cake? And I sort of peeked around the island, and the whole thing had fallen on the floor because it got so hot, and it just collapsed. And I cried.
Oh, bless you.
And I remember the DJ just arrived, and he was like, why is this kid crying? And I was so embarrassed and devastated that my mum's, bragging about her son, the baker, and her 3-tier cake collapsed.
What did you do?
I think I ended up just sort of separating them as 3 sort of separate tiers.
Yeah.
But they were
It's hard
damaged.
to do, yeah.
But I wasn't even like, I knew I should have used dowels and I didn't, I risked it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
It is. I used to do the same as you for wedding cakes.
Yes.
I've stopped now, but I used to be like, I'll do it because it's a cheap present. Well, not cheap, but it's a free present.
Yeah.
And it's easy-ish.
Oh,
but it's not. The easy bit's completely. And every time I did one where we talked about marquee, and I had to decorate it in the marquee because somebody else was adding these buttons, these iced buttons.
Okay.
But she broke her leg, so she didn't come. So I was stuck having to ice the cake in a marquee in the summer, and not quite as bad as yours, I have to say. But I came back the next day, and all the icing had like just sort of released from the cake, and it was just sort of like dripping down, like that bit in Mrs. Doubtfire when she chucks her face in the cake and then it all drips off. It was just like that. I've
made quite a few wedding cakes as well, and honestly, every one is carnage. I did one with sort of crumpled up wafer paper, but people said it looked like tissue, like throwing away tissues on it. But again, it was the summer, and so I assembled it all. I was really proud, and I looked at it. There were just like black dots all over it, and there were just flies all over it. And then it was sort of 5 o'clock in the evening, and I could just see it tilting. And I was like, you need to cut the cake now, because within the next half an hour, it's going to collapse. And they did cut it, and it was fine. We got away with it. But it was just little black specks all over it. And I was like, there was nothing, it was an open marquee wedding covered in sugary fondant. Of course the flies are on it.
Oh, my God. I mean, if anything, it's a compliment.
Yeah,
they chose
exactly.
to do that.
So I can't remember. I remember just sort of peeling, because it was a fondant. I don't really like fondant. So I kind of cut the cake in the back, and I just peel all this fondant off, because I'm like, I don't want to serve
You
fondant.
can just have the sponge.
Yes. But honestly, every wedding cake I could go on, everyone has
they're all scary.
a drama or a story.
The worst one, I think, wasn't actually that bad in the end, but I was making the cake and I dropped it.
Oh.
It broke in half, and my friend called, whose cake it was, and for some weird reason, I just said, I've just dropped your cake. And she was like, what? You've dropped the wedding cake? I was like, yeah, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And yes, I feel like I'd sort of set her on edge before she'd even got to like the point of having to get dressed. But I just shoved loads of skewers in it.
I did one just a few weeks ago for my sister-in-law's wedding, but she, thank goodness, wanted a giant tiramisu.
Oh.
Yeah. But when she just said giant, it was giant.
Was it? How big was it?
It was 1.2 meters long.
Wow.
It was huge.
How did you do it?
It took me like 3 days.
So did you have to find a vessel that was 1.2 meters?
Well, yeah. Campbell, Rackmaster, he custom made me this tin. Yeah. So he's a great guy, metal fabricator. So I was like, I need a 1.2 meter by 80 centimeter tin. He was like, yeah, sure. Next day. But it was, 800 lady fingers.
Oh my
goodness. As I went, so I made them a custom stencil, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. I chilled it overnight in a horse barn because I didn't have a fridge. And I went to I needed some light to turn my torch on my phone. And I dropped the phone into the middle of the tiramisu.
And had it been stenciled at this point?
I hadn't stenciled it yet.
But still.
I hadn't put the cocoa powder in, but then it just had this, it's like the Jacksons. It was like the Juruxons, because I just, this slight divot. I was like, I can't believe I just spent all this time. I've dropped my phone. I wasn't even trying to take a picture. I wasn't even doing anything
it wasn't like social media.
I wasn't trying to, promote myself. I just wanted some light. And that was so everyone is an adventure. I'm hoping my next one is not until my son. So I've got, 25 years. Time. Yeah.
I feel like it's those that when you decorate your own home and where all the errors are, but other people can't see it, is what I'm hoping happens.
Yeah.
Have you ever served something ready-made and pretended you made it yourself?
Gosh. I mean, as an influencer, I have, back in the day, I have used things that were ready-made and decorated them and made it look like it was mine. Yeah. So I bought a Sainsbury's cheesecake.
Oh, wow.
And I did, I sliced it into like 8, and I decorated each slice with something. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I did like a caramel drizzle on one. Back in the day of the photo, you just upload a photo top down. Caramel drizzle on one, maybe an Oreo crumb, some strawberries on another. And I was like, I bake this New York style cheesecake. Sainsbury's.
Wow.
And I feel...
And you didn't have to give a recipe?
No, I wasn't giving out.
Now everyone expects a free recipe with a reel, don't they?
Well...
I feel like.
We can dive into that too. I think a lot of people don't give the recipe.
No, they don't.
They say, best fried chicken ever. Best chocolate cake.
True.
And then there's nothing.
There's nothing there.
I'm like, put your money where your mouth is.
Where's the recipe? For this content? It's all free.
Yeah, I'm happy for you to give it for free, but show me you developed the recipe.
Sure, okay.
you know,
or bought it from Sainsbury's.
Yeah, so I did buy the cheesecake, but I don't think I would serve my family something or anybody.
No,
I would admit that to them.
Sure,
I'm the guy to take no shame.
Well, if your personality were a flavour of ice cream, what would it be and why?
I would say it would be vanilla with a brown butter swirl and some toffee pieces, because vanilla, I'm quite, grounded, sensible.
Yeah.
I would plain person's maybe a little bit mean to myself, but I'm just quite average.
Yeah, everyday.
Yeah, everyday guy. Not too up, not too down. I would say brown butter because I have a bit of depth and interest in like really diving into things. So browning the butter, that would be my brown butter. I quite like finding out about people as well. Nice. When I meet somebody new, I just dive into them, and they're like, "Whoa, this is way too much." But I like, the depth to somebody. And then I would say the toffee crunch pieces is I have bursts of energy because of my job. I will turn it on and be Mr. Presenter.
Yeah.
But then I retreat back to my vanilla.
Down. Yeah.
And just be very placid.
Nice.
So I have little pops of energy.
Good. I like how well thought out that was.
Yeah, that took me a while, that one.
You're opening a themed restaurant based on your life. What is it called and what is the signature dish?
Wow. I would say chasing perfection, it would be called. Because I'm always chasing perfection. Whether I achieve it, I don't know. So I think it would be a menu of, baked goods where I'm trying to achieve the perfect thing. The discretion of the guest would be whether they think it's the perfect.
Interesting. So it'd be like, this is my test for today.
Yes.
See what you think.
Yes. And
so it'd be a rolling signature dish, really.
I think every day would be a new adventure.
Nice.
Yeah. So open kitchen, you're seeing me try and assemble it in front of you.
Great.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think, again, lemon tart signature dish. That's got to be on the menu, right?
That could be the pudding would be called just perfection.
Yes.
Complete.
Yeah, maybe
perfection.
it's a menu like, it's like a tasting menu where the first dish is one that you really haven't tested well at all until you get
just cooked it for the first time.
Whereas 10 is, the lemon tart, you finish it, it's perfect. I like that.
Yeah, nice. Like a sort of spectrum where you're going from one side to the
really
other.
bad and then slowly improves.
At least you'd leave happy. It's just whether you stayed if the food was really bad.
You only remember the most recent dish you had. Exactly. One of those tasting menus, you never remember the first one.
I don't remember any of them, because they're so long.
Oh, I'm so full.
What is the one misconception people have about you that you'd like to change?
That's a really good question. What's a misconception? I would say people assume I am kind of amazing at baking. Everything I make is perfect. I get it right every single time. And I'd say that's something I try and debunk as much as possible.
Yeah.
And has kind of become my MO of showing that actually everything is not always perfect.
You've taken time to get to that place.
So I think social media is a place where you see a picture or a recipe or a video and it's like, oh my gosh, that is incredible what they've made. They've just got there, no problem.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of try and show the behind the scenes. So not everyone who sees my videos sees the journey I go through. Because that's, it's a very small percentage of your audience that see that. So people just see that Swiss roll or whatever cake I make and they say, God, it's just perfect every time. It's so curated. Everything looks amazing. But actually, it's not that at all. And it's a real struggle. And I get a lot more wrong than I ever even show. So
I show it all.
People
it is interesting social, isn't it? It's that thing of we hate the fact that it makes us feel like a failure sometimes, but also all we want to see is the perfection.
I think
our
the
own
other
worst
thing that's
enemies.
Tough as well is you get so many messages or suggestions.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Or I'm just like, I know that. I know it
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. My final question for confessions. What is your food guilty pleasure?
I was eating this last night. I love like the canned whipped cream.
Oh.
So like Anchor or President. We would, literally last night we were passing it around our family and it's like not
the squirty cream. Yeah.
And it's not on a spoon or on your plate. It's straight into the mouth. And I just remember seeing my family members like, my little niece, my son, and like no one is even bothered that it's going into everybody's mouth. So we would, we love a squirty cream. I would grow up and I remember sitting in the living room and you'd hear my mum in the kitchen and just hear like, and she would just sit next to the fridge and just squirt it into her mouth and put it back. And then 10 minutes later, she'd have
So is there always a can in the fridge?
I would say not as frequently as it was growing up, but we do, if we're gathering, there's always ice cream and a squirty, and always some squirty cream.
I tried the Baileys one over Christmas, which was pretty good actually.
Ooh, I've never ventured past Anchor.
I'm not a huge fan of squirty cream. Well, I'm not a huge fan, but it's not my favourite accompaniment to
really?
a pudding.
I just love
but
the
Bailey's one was
artificial
good.
vanilla and...
My nan is obsessed with it. If it's there, she'll have it. She's having it. Right, we're going to move on to quick fire questions.
Okay,
so I'm going to
quick.
move your book. Best kitchen tip you've ever been given?
To get an oven thermometer.
If you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Italian.
What ingredient is the biggest waste of money?
Ooh, really expensive butter.
Worst thing you've ever eaten?
I made a beef bourguignon. It was terrible.
Your signature can't be bothered meal?
Sausage pasta.
Favourite midnight snack?
Peanut butter.
What food should have its own national holiday?
Ice cream.
What's your go-to hangover food?
Fried breakfast.
What food did you hate as a kid but now love?
Prawns.
If you could invent a new crisp flavour, what would it be?
Katsu curry.
Name a fictional character you'd love to have dinner with.
Peter Rabbit.
And final question, starter, main or dessert?
Dessert.
I think that's going to be quick. 40 seconds.
Whoa!
Yes. I think that is a record.
Once you set me that challenge, I was like, I'm going to beat this.
I do need to write it down somewhere.
Okay, yeah. You need like a Jeremy Clarkson Top Gear board.
A little board.
Write my
Get
name
your face. On. Yeah. Right, a final question for today, which isn't quick fire. What does good food mean to you?
It's a great question. How thought-provoking. I think it means getting people around the table, having a conversation, putting your phone down. What I like to do around food is asking my kids and my family, like, what's the best part of your day? And that's what good food does to me, is I get to sit down, see someone enjoying a home-cooked meal that you put love into. What we say in our household is love is always a secret ingredient, as cringe as that is. But for our kids, it's always fun. So I like to sit down with a nice meal and be able to just, talk to family members and ask them how their day was.
That's lovely. And often it is the only time you actually get to spend in the day, like sat down, chilled, actually talking to each other.
Big time. It really is. You know, my wife, it's like we have meetings basically. We sit down after the kids have gone to bed, have dinner. It's like, how was your day? Well, what happened today? Because you've got no time during the day to have a conversation. But I think it's the one point where you have a home-cooked meal that you've slaved over, that everybody likes, and you can just have a conversation about the day, and everyone's still for 5 minutes.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. This has been, I love it. Amazing.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you so much. Yeah. And also good luck with the new book.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm very excited. Very excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Good Food Podcast. For more recipes and inspiration, visit goodfood.com or download our app. Subscribers to the Good Food app via the App Store can listen to our podcast ad-free.